Subscribers only. Chapter 1: The Operator. The screwdriver is not a weapon. It's a key that never complains. Phillips head. 4 slim petals bright with the lamplight. A small star I keep hermetically clean. I have 2 of them because redundancy is love. The door to 17A doesn't know it's being practiced on. The cylinder is a standard Euro profile, 2-star rating, a laugh in brass. I have the blanks, I have the jig. The pins chat softly as I try the tension bar. The night holds its breath, the hallway a tunnel of beige carpet and economy sconces smearing cone-shaped halos along corridor walls. Through the fire door at the far end, someone coughs, then silence. I time my work to the rhythms of a building's sleep. Elevators doze between 1 and 0, boilers yawn and settle. Water meters stop gossiping. Homes are never fully asleep. Modern devices tattle on the hour, thermostats whisper, routers breathe. But there are lulls. If you listen long enough, you learn the quiet edges you can use. The plug turns. I let myself in. The smell is truthful, detergent, a faint dog that no longer lives here, citrus oil for cutting boards. Tidy, good. Tidy means patterns, and patterns mean minutes saved later. I lock the door behind me, easing the latch with 2 gloved fingers so it doesn't clack. Then I do what I always do. I stand still and listen for the house's soul. A fridge humming. A baseboard heater tick-ticking as it cools. Somewhere a charger sings in a frequency people only notice as irritability. I wait for the gust of the ventilation to settle. There, the router lives in the living room behind the TV unit. I can hear how it speaks to the world, timid, off-brand, wincing from the weight of a dozen other networks. The signal is enough. It will do. I don't linger. The floor plan reveals itself in the way air moves and light behaves. Kitchen, living room, hall, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The child's room announces itself with a felted banner of stars and a moon, cuteness engineered, a parent's wish hung on a nail. I stand in the doorway and don't step in. Lines on a Lego mat glow faintly with dust. A doll is face down as if sleeping off a complicated dream. The tech in my bag is silent, sealed, inert, the way I prefer it until it becomes eyes. I install the kitchen unit first. The vent cover above the stove already has 2 stripped screws, careless landlord, so I work one of my own anchors into the gypsum, then a screw that matches but doesn't twin. Mismatches hide better than perfect replacements. Human attention feeds on pattern and staggers past friction. The camera is a coin with a pupil. It lives behind a grill, peering through a rectangle that until tonight only exhaled steam and disappointment. I tune the angle with the tiny torque of my fingers. What will it see? Hands making school lunches, a coffee mug with a hairline crack, a calendar magnet telling a family where they should be when they're never exactly there. Cameras are merciless about time. The living room offers the biggest canvas. I've slit a dozen speaker grills in my life. Sharp, discreet cuts that nobody has ever noticed. But 17A has a decorative lattice over the TV unit. I love decorative lattices. Anything designed to be looked at is blind to the wrong kind of looking. The lens sits within the pattern, one dark node among many. When the TV glows, reflections will disguise the rest. Bathroom, next. I have a rule, no cameras above mirrors. Vanity feeds suspicion. People look up when they stare at themselves. Instead, the bath fan. The sound hides the microservos. Moisture will kill cheaper gear. I don't use cheaper gear. I wipe my prints even though the gloves have never failed me. Rituals are the difference between hobbyists and professionals. Rituals keep you boring, and boring keeps you living. Bedroom. Sheets in a soft heap, a book folded open on a nightstand, pages bowed like a gull's wings mid-glide. The lamp is a matte mushroom, heavier than it looks, which is good. Heavier means a hollow base, a removable plate, a cavity where manufacturers hide ballast to cheat stability ratings. I loosen 3 screws, slide the plate aside, seat the lens where the felt foot is darker from dust. I return the screws and reset the lamp 1 inch nearer to the wall than before. 1 inch is forgetfulness. 2 inches is an argument. I choose forgetfulness. The router is my last chore. I kneel, tug the unit forward, study the sticker. Make, model, default admin quirks. I've already harvested its heart from the hallway. Their ISP is one of those that tells homes they're secure because letters in bold print said so. I pen test in 30 seconds. The firmware wheezes open. I deploy the ghost, a mesh node that pretends to be a timid neighbor network, then sidles in with a smile. Their traffic will move through me because the shortest paths are the laziest lies. I could stop there. I could leave the cameras to trickle raw feed into the tunnel and call it a night. But product matters. I take out my phone. Not my phone, the device that holds my work face. It doesn't touch my skin unless I am gloved. It doesn't know my name. It speaks a dialect that exists only where light is less a wave and more an appetite. I boot the trial grid. The screen divides into 9 placeholder lines waiting for sight. Cameras 1 through 6 handshake, then drift into view like ghosts who finally remembered where they died. Kitchen, wide, warm, saturated with the lingering heat of dinner. Living room, furniture geometry, a TV reflecting the neighborhood's heartbeat. Bathroom, tile grid with a damp sheen. Bedroom, the lamp stem perfect as a metronome. Hallway, from inside the return vent, a view nobody deserves. Nursery, empty. No camera there. My rule is iron. Public deserves private. Children deserve invisibility. Some lines even I don't cross. The 7th pane blinks, then settles. Front door peephole, because any show needs an opening credit. I graft the peephole cam into the hollow of the brass. The fisheye makes everyone a little dizzy. A tiny confession of the device. It's okay. We can call it an aesthetic choice. In the bottom right of the grid, a thumbnail is black. That one is a decoy. A dead square that sells scarcity, an artifact for the forum to gossip about. What if the dead square sometimes wakes? What if it never does? It doesn't matter. People love imagining doors that only sometimes open. In the bag, one more thing, the mic. Not a mic today. Audio is the threshold, and thresholds are expensive in this country. Privacy laws with citations that wear steel-toed boots. Video alone sells enough subscriptions to buy islands of quiet, but the upsell is irresistible. You keep the mic for special events and donor drives, long weekends, anniversaries, arguments. I choose the frame above the coat hooks. Plastic fern art with a centimeter depth. I forego audio tonight. The illusion of restraint is also a product feature. I back out of my work as if rewinding time. Lamps returned, vents returned, smudges erased, a carpet fiber brushed back into the direction the rest of its herd grazes. I relock the door with the same quiet prayer to springs and tolerances, then pad down the hallway, a moving gap in the building's attention. The stairwell vomits me into garage air. The scooter is anonymous blue and carries a license plate nobody cares about because nobody cares about scooters. Cameras, like scooters. They are not fast, but they are forgettable. On the way to my unit, I pass 2 night shift laundry rooms, one happily thrumming, one amputated of its coin box long ago. People make their own economies when nobody is watching. I watch. At the unit, the cat doesn't greet me because I don't own a cat. The studio is a shoebox of good decisions, a bed that hides inside a wall, a kitchenette that looks deliberately underused, a closet of modular drawers labeled with a handwriting that is not mine. On the wall, a mounted TV, and below it, a kitted rack behind smoked glass. The rack is a choir, UPS batteries humming a tired hymn, a patch panel with manicured cables, a 1U box that lives for the moment it can transcode. 2 fiber runs disappear into a conduit-like veins. I am an ordinary man with an extraordinary hobby, if any inspector ever has to write me down. I am a consultant for a firm that sells stream optimization to small studios. If anyone needs to receive an invoice, I go live. The platform wakes when I do. I named it Barnacle because it prefers other people's hulls. It has no splash page, only a login prompt for those who already belong to its faith. There's no sign up button. If you have to ask, someone else will have to vouch. The CSS is joyless. The fonts are older than fashion, and that's on purpose. Ugliness hides exceptional things in plain sight. In the admin console, House 047 spools its feed. In the viewer panel, motion heat maps paint the kitchen counter with orange. I tag the scene with a slug-only I, and the interns understand. K047 Galley Main L. There are no interns. The interns are a story I tell the forum when I want to pretend this is bigger than me. Scale sells. So does intimacy. Paradox is the engine. The metrics inch up as caching fills. Latency tightens to a slap. I pull up storefront, the face customers see when they pretend they aren't customers. Each household gets its own mosaic. The mosaic is a live quilt, stitching domesticity into something breathless. Below the quilt, the paywall. Our tiers are simple because everyone knows what they want and hates admitting it. Window shopper, $9.99 Mo, Rotating rooms, no bookmarks, no rewind, no night vision. Tenant, $29.99 Mo. Full house, bookmarks, rewind, highlight reels, motion alerts. Landlord, $79.99 Mo. Everything in tenant, plus night vision, clip export, picture-in-picture multi-view. Architect, $199.99 Mo. Everything in landlord, plus director mode. Cue your own live cuts, chat overlays, request a camera, non-binding, silent notifications for events. God mode, invite only. It is not a tier, it is a rumor. Rumors are crown jewels. You never let them catch full light. The chat window yawns open in the right margin. It looks like 1,000 other chats. Usernames with inside jokes, timestamps that eat lives 1 minute at a time, emotes that tell people how to feel. The new house is a pinned message with a red ribbon icon. New house added number 047. 2 adults, 1 child, city grid, good sightlines, respect the rules. Maud Barnacle. The replies are a predictable sequence I can mouth along to. Tape hiss, bless the operator, peep silhouette, kitchen is CLEA and malachite, angle on bedroom lamp is art. Blue ruin, any audio? Video only for launch week, check the event calendar. They don't know. I read their hearts more easily than their handles. I observe what they click, how long they linger, which rooms convert best, which households are sticky. Sticky is not a moral term. Sticky is a retention figure that makes a graph rise like a curtain. If a household is sticky, I consider upsells. If it sags, I change the lighting, the angles, the room order in the mosaic, the default spotlight, the thumbnail frames. Theater. The feed stabilizes, the kitchen breathes, a nightlight deciding what matters. The living room holds a midnight blue you could cut with knives. The bathroom glows like an operating room where nothing is brave. In the bedroom, a human shape turns in sleep. The lamp sees the topography of a blanket lift and fall. The chat slows into reverence, the kind that mistakes patience for virtue. A bubble pops. Gaston, I know that book. On the nightstand, that exact edition. Malachite. Gaston. Crying in H Mart, paperback, B+W spine, small red square. Peep silhouette, wholesome tap hiss, intimate AF. I tag a soft event, bedtime reading artifact. The machine learns better when I call things by names it can gorge itself on. In my back end, Harvester plots the neighborhood, the next 3 potential houses, the best ingress points, the weak points in shared walls. I'm not greedy. I keep a cap on the number of active houses per block to avoid lab fires. Heat draws attention. Attention is the enemy that wishes it was a friend. The forum begs for more. The forum is never full. The money is good. It is not good in a movie way. Duffel bags, numbered accounts. But it buys time, which is the currency of cowards and kings. It buys encryption keys and hardware-accelerated transcoders and a lawyer 3 towns over who has never asked why I know so much about DMCA takedown procedure and why none of the requests that cross my desk mention my houses. The lawyer is not a fool. The lawyer loves puzzles that don't have names. I make a reel from last week's events to keep subscribers warm while I seed new houses. A cat knocking a wine glass off a counter and looking for 1 clear second ashamed. A man practicing a breakup in a bathroom mirror without saying the words aloud. A toddler inventing a word for the first time and the mother's face folding with wonder and fatigue. The blue of early morning when a house remembers it is a house, not a theater of making. I do not publish the other reel. The one I keep under a password I will never type without gloves. That reel is for proofs. Proofs for what? Court? Ego? A god who needs receipts? I wish I could say I'm building a case against myself for the day I need to be punished. That story tastes noble. The truth is simpler. I archive because failure is a possibility, and because I admire my work. At 4:03, House Squirrel 47 performs its first trick. The fridge opens. A rectangle of light slices the dark. A hand reaches in, fumbles, surrenders to orange juice. Out of frame, a child coughs. The adult pauses, listening, the way animals do when they are both prey and caretaker. The chat blooms tiny fireworks. Malachite, we begin, tape hiss, early riser family, my fav peep sweat. She's wearing his hoodie, you can tell by sleeve-length blue ruin. Wholesome hour. The woman sips, grimaces, sips again. She stands on 1 foot, then the other. The body's math of cold floors. She turns her head toward the hall and smiles to no one. I press a key and the grid reshapes, giving the kitchen a god's share of the screen. The pixel noise of night tries to convince me it is rain. It is not rain, it is math. She closes the fridge. The world becomes its darker self again. The chat breathes with her. I set a low-key event trigger. Early riser routine. It will learn what that means by watching her learn it over and over until it is no longer learning, just hunger. The day builds itself. Alarms, showers, kettle, cartoons buzzing like locusts from the living room. The child is carried past the hallway lens, a burrito of blanket and protest. The man appears, lank hair, eyes at half-mast, a kindness in the way he makes space for the woman to reach into a cabinet. When they kiss, it is the kiss of people with shared logistics. The chat doesn't laugh. The chat says nothing because the chat knows something valuable when it isn't pretty. I reset the default mosaic to prioritize the kitchen from 4:08, living room from 8 to 20 hound, bedroom from 20 to 04. Motion weighting adjusts if something interesting happens elsewhere, but the stage must suggest where to look unless chaos screams otherwise. Chaos sells, but exhausts. At 08:53, the apartment empties. I breathe for the first time today, as if I've been holding air for strangers. People always ask, well, not to me, but to whatever versions of me they invent on channels that talk about urban myths. Why? Why do this? Why risk doors and cameras and the peculiarities of being alive inside crimes that you built yourself like furniture? They suggest motives in the bored academic way: power, control, deviancy, money. They forget that boredom is the biggest organ. The world dimmed. Novelty ran out too soon. Even pornography got repetitive because bodies learn their own shortcuts. You want to see something true. Truth is messy and doesn't know where the camera is. I gave myself a job that guarantees truth for as long as I can stand it. And yes, money. But money is so banal a motive that it's almost an alibi. At noon, I review requests. In architect tier and above, users can submit camera requests, notes about angles, rooms, props. I ignore 95% of them. It is a superstition. If I start saying yes, they will feel entitled to set design. I don't sell set design. I sell a weather system that people imagine they control because they own an umbrella. Still, I read because reading is a map of appetite. Read 31128. Can we get a closer angle on the stovetop? The knife block has a reflection, maybe catch hands slicing fruit? Gaston, bookshelf in living room, top shelf right corner. What's the spine with gold leaf? Read 313U. Hallway lens soft focus intentional? If so, keep. If not, please sharpen. Rec 31130 WAMP. When they read, can we drop exposure so it feels cinematic? Cinema. Always cinema. I sharpen the hallway by 8% just to prove I still adjust things. The rest I ignore. The knife block will reflect a hand when the day decides, not because a subscriber asked nicely. The email chime, which never chimes because the client is usually silent, peaks. The subject is a single word, partner. I open it. It's not a pitch from an affiliate ad broker or a data center hungry for more of my electricity. It is an old friend who is not a friend at all. A handle I haven't seen since before Barnacle had a name. From Ghost Milk, subject, partner, body. You're alone. That's cute. You're too good to be alone. You'll say no, then you'll say yes. Let me show you something. Tonight, 2 a.m. Roof of the municipal parking, camera 14. My rack fans keep their metronome. I don't move for 3 minutes, which is my ritual when a thing reaches through glass to touch the part of me that still has nerves for shock. Ghost Milk wasn't a partner. Ghost Milk was a rumor for me, a constellation I didn't believe in. We had corresponded once, through a third party who likely admires prison architecture now. The rumor was that Ghost Milk made channels like mine, but fed them to a single viewer. A monarch. A person who didn't want to share their godhood with a mob. I glance at the chat again to steady my blood. It is arguing about whether the woman takes her coffee black or is temporarily out of milk. They're wrong. The truth is in the bin. A crumpled receipt from the corner shop for oat milk because the child's stomach has a modern allergy. The chat debates like a parliament because it needs to fill time until something decides to break. I run a check on my roof cameras across the city. Municipal parking, camera 14, points at the elevator motor room door and a smear of skyline that always disappoints tourists. I didn't install that camera. I don't have access to that feed. I make myself a sandwich I will not remember eating. I read the message again. I type a reply I delete. I type another. I delete that one too. Then I do nothing because doing nothing is a decision that has kept me from becoming a headline in a newspaper that still can't afford to die. At 1741, the family returns. Their burdens are public. Backpacks, a tote with a logo that insists a bookstore still exists somewhere, a lunchbox that explains itself by smell. The kid sings something too slow to recognize. The man crouches to tie a shoe, his back a question mark. The woman hangs her keys on the hook without looking. Home. He's tired today. She remembers the keys every time. I never remember mine. I open events and schedule audio hour for Saturday night. It's midweek now. Teasers need a runway. Audio is a promise I dangle like a leg in a pool full of expensive fish. But before I can close the scheduler, something unplanned happens. The woman stops in the hallway, one hand still on the keys, head canted. She looks up at the fern print above the hooks. She doesn't know why she looks. Instinct is an ancient coder. She steps closer. The man is still crouched, goose-necked over a shoelace. The child sings a different song now because children remix their lives the way adults edit invoices. The woman reaches for the frame. The chat doesn't collapse into caps or emotes. It goes quiet in a way that feels like sucking the air from a bag. 10,000 minds hold one breath. My hand hovers over the switch house button because cowardice wears the same shoes as prudence. Her fingers aren't suspicious. They're curious. She straightens the frame by 3 millimeters so it sits true, then pats it as if praising a dog for sitting. The building exhales. The chat erupts with communal laughter, the kind that pretends it wasn't afraid. I let my heart go. It flutters into the corner like a moth and dies there. I schedule the audio hour anyway. Saturday, 21 to 2200. The calendar populates across the top bar. Architects will book watch parties, landlords will resent them, and upgrade at midnight. The night begins its second act. Dishes. A game on the TV with the sound low. Homework designed by enemies. The man rubs his eyes until they go pink. The woman writes a grocery list on her phone with the look of a general triaging a battlefield. The child crawls into a cardboard box and refuses to come out until the cat, not a cat, a stuffed thing with ambitions, can also be in the box as a roommate. At 22:13, the bedroom lamp glows and 2 people decide they are not too tired to be animals. I let the exposure ride. I let the sound not exist. I let the chat become a memorial of insinuations and saints and sin. I do not frame tighter. I am not an animal. I am a curator. When they sleep, they hold their spines an inch apart. The gap is not a metaphor. The gap is a gap. I open Ghost Milk's email one last time and move it into a folder named Season. The folder is new. I built it in a second and pretended I had always had such folders to begin with. Then I look at the roof of municipal parking through a camera I have never owned. The feed is clean, crisp, superior to mine in ways that hurt my pride with their exactness. A metal door sits inside a square of light. Beyond, the city smears its mascara. On the screen, a timestamp counts down toward 2, as if the night itself set a premiere. Someone else is telling me that I have been watched for longer than I've watched. The countdown reaches 01:59:50, and a second window opens beside it. My own hallway, my fern print, my lamp pulled into view by a hand that isn't mine. Chapter 2. The Family. The kettle whistles. The sound is domestic thunder, insistent, not angry but determined to be acknowledged. Claire reaches for it, steadying her other hand against the countertop. Steam fogs the cupboard doors above, turning their pine panels into opaque ghosts. She pours, black tea rushing into a chipped mug that has outlived 2 apartments, a car, and her patience with kitchen fashion. Claire Holloway doesn't think of herself as ordinary, but she knows the word fits like a cardigan. Serviceable, not glamorous. She teaches English at the local secondary, marking essays in biro red that stains her cuticles. She likes books more than people, though she won't admit it aloud because she's married to both. In the bedroom, Mark groans himself into wakefulness. He works IT support for a mid-tier insurance company, which is as glamorous as it sounds. His alarm is a radio tuned to static until the DJ finds his bearings. This morning, the man mumbles about traffic on the bypass. Mark doesn't drive it. He listens anyway, because ritual is how you trick the world into predictability. Their son, Ethan, is 7. 7 means everything is dramatic, from a mismatched sock to a missed breakfast cereal mascot. Ethan has discovered football, dinosaurs, and the alarming truth that parents are neither omnipotent nor particularly cool. He runs to the living room before brushing his teeth because cartoons are religion and hygiene is politics, something you can argue about forever. Claire stirs milk into her mug and tastes. Too weak. She drops the bag back in, sighing as tannin strengthens the day. The flat is modest. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, living room with laminate flooring that echoes footsteps. The landlord painted the walls rental white, which is not a color so much as an agreement between paint companies. The hallway's decorated in protest. Posters framed behind glass, a sofa throw in mustard yellow, Ethan's art pinned to the fridge with charity magnets. This morning is choreography. Mark emerges, rubbing his eyes, kissing Claire's cheek absent-mindedly. She leans away from the steam, tapping the mug against his knuckles to remind him, careful, hot. Ethan shouts from the living room that his cartoon is the one with the volcano, as if that clarifies everything. Mark mutters about emails, Claire about lesson plans. Their words cross like planes at different altitudes. They orbit one another in practiced patterns, barely colliding, a ballet of routine. On the table, an open notebook with Claire's neat lists, milk, bread, cereal, Ethan's library book. She underlines twice. Mark places his phone beside it, charging cable coiled like a snake. He scrolls without seeing, eyes glazed by notifications. The ordinary morning is a shield. Behind it, cracks show. The first oddity. Ethan pads into the kitchen in socks, holding a toy car. He slams it onto the counter for effect. Claire flinches. Not on there, love. He scowls, dragging the car across laminate. Mum, why was my torch under the bed? I left it in the drawer. Claire frowns. You probably knocked it down. No, I didn't. His voice sharpens with the indignation of children who demand belief. The drawer was shut. Mark chuckles, ruffling Ethan's hair. Maybe the torch went exploring, looking for dinosaurs. Ethan scowls deeper. It was on. The batteries were nearly dead. Claire exchanges a look with Mark, one of those silent adult conversations that say, odd, but don't scare him. She bends down, pressing a kiss into Ethan's crown. Next time, put it back properly. Things wander if you don't. But her mind catches. A drawer closed, batteries drained. She shakes it off like mist. The second oddity. 2 nights later, Claire is alone at the dining table. Papers spread like battle maps. Mark snores on the sofa. Ethan's door is closed, stuffed animals standing guard. Claire pushes her hair behind one ear, circling fragments in student essays. Run-on sentence, needs punctuation, lovely imagery. She hears a click. Not the fridge compressor, not the radiators, a sharper sound. From the hallway, she freezes. Her biro hovers. The flat settles around her like a held breath. She tells herself it's the coat hooks shifting, maybe the fern print above them. Airflow. Buildings sigh. But later, when she gathers mugs to the sink, she notices the picture frame sits straighter than before. Mark shrugs when she tells him the next morning. Mark laughs. Maybe you straightened it and forgot. I didn't. He shrugs, kissing her forehead. Claire, this place is drafty. Remember the bathroom door that slams shut? Probably the same. She doesn't push Glav. Mark dislikes superstition. To him, everything has a spreadsheet explanation. Airflow, torque, gravity, fatigue. She lets him believe that. But she watches the frame each time she passes. Ethan's online moment. One afternoon, Ethan sits cross-legged on the floor, tablet in his lap. He giggles, showing Claire a comment under a video. Mum, look, someone wrote, bet you had Cocoa Pops again this morning. Claire frowns. Where did you find that? On my football highlights page. He scrolls. The comment is there, buried among emojis and spam. She narrows her eyes. That's not funny. Don't answer it. I didn't. He looks scared. But I did have Cocoa Pops. She takes the tablet, reporting the comment. Spam, she tells herself. Coincidence. Millions of kids eat cereal. But a chill walks her spine. Claire alone. That night, she lies awake, listening. The flat is a ship at sea, pipes groaning, wind brushing vents. She closes her eyes, then snaps them open again. The feeling is animal, watched. She pushes back the duvet, creeps barefoot into the living room. The lamp stands near the wall, casting a mushroom glow. Its base is dusted, too neat. Claire frowns. She hasn't cleaned in weeks. She kneels, fingertips grazing the felt pads beneath. One feels rough, disturbed. She shakes her head, muttering, You're tired, you're seeing things. But when she returns to bed, her sleep is fractured, hunted by half-dreams of eyes in the walls. The family life pushes forward anyway. School runs, office calls, grocery lists. Claire pretends normality, though she starts double-checking locks before bed. Mark teases her gently, "You've turned into your mum," but humors the ritual. Ethan complains about bedtimes, his torch now dead, left untouched. It's Thursday morning when the strangest detail surfaces. Claire opens the fridge for milk. The bottle is shifted, not in its usual place. Behind it sits a jar of pickles neither she nor Mark bought. She stares, cold brine staring back. "Mark," she calls. He appears, tie half knot. "Yeah? Did you buy pickles?" He squints. "No. Why?" She shows him. Mark chuckles, shaking his head. "You're forgetting. You probably grabbed them last shop." "I hate pickles." He shrugs, brushing her shoulder as he leaves. "Then bin them." But she doesn't. She leaves the jar, watching it like evidence. That night, as Claire settles Ethan into bed, she catches movement in the hallway mirror. A faint red blink, so fast it could be a trick of her eyes. She turns sharply. Nothing. Just the fern print above the coat hooks, angled neatly. Ethan yawns, curling under his duvet. "Mum, who's singing?" Her blood goes cold. "What singing?" He points at the vent. "In the wall, like someone humming." Claire strokes his hair, heart racing. "Pipes, love, just the pipes." But later, when the flat sinks into silence, she sits in the living room, staring at the lamp, the vent, the frame above the hooks. Somewhere in the building, a floor creaks that isn't theirs. Narrator. And in a room she cannot see, 1,000 strangers lean closer to their screens. Claire feels the prickle of unseen eyes, and the red light blinks once more. Chapter 3. The Subscribers. The chat room is a hive. Thousands of usernames swarm in neon fonts against a black background, a cascade of comments tumbling faster than most eyes can track. There's no welcome screen, no tutorial, just the raw feed of lives and the audience it commands. At first glance, it could be any streaming service, but it isn't. Barnacle doesn't advertise. It doesn't want to be found. You arrive only if invited, only if vouched for. Every member is both a voyeur and a conspirator, complicit by entry. The newest house, tagged NACT 047, is already trending. The Holloways don't know they're famous. To the crowd, they're just content. The subscriber's ritual. When a new house goes live, the ritual begins. The chat explodes with first impressions. Malachite, kitchen layout is nice. Tape hiss, bathroom lighting is void loop. She reads every night. I can tell. For the viewers, this is not reality but performance. Every detail becomes symbolic. A cereal box, a book spine, the color of sheets. They dissect it as if watching a prestige drama. Tiered subscribers flaunt their badges: tenant, landlord, architect. With higher tiers come powers: bookmarking clips, rewinding live feeds, creating highlight reels. Some users spend hours editing strangers' breakfasts into montages, posting them back into the forum like sacred relics. In architect tier, there's director mode. Here, voyeurs stage their own episodes, cutting between rooms, adding chat overlays, scoring music to the rhythm of ordinary life. Some even sell these edits on secondary forums, pirating reality itself. Voyeur archetypes. The crowd is not monolithic. Each viewer wears a mask, but patterns emerge. The archivists, obsessed with cataloging. They keep spreadsheets of every object in the Holloway's flat, cross-referencing timestamps. The shippers romanticize domestic details. They gush over Claire and Mark's half-kisses, their small arguments. The cynics mock, belittle, tear down. For them, humiliation is entertainment. The obsessed, single-minded viewers who fixate on one person, usually Claire, sometimes Ethan, never Mark. Among the obsessed lurks danger. The stalker emerges. One handle begins to stand out: Gaston. At first, Gaston seems harmless. He notices details others miss: the titles of books on the nightstand, the brand of tea Claire drinks, the make of Ethan's trainers. The chat teases him for being a nerd. He shrugs it off with emojis. But his observations grow sharper, uncomfortably sharp. Those curtains are IKEA Hilleborg, discontinued 2019. They live near a Tesco. Receipt in bin proves it. Postcode within 3 miles of Eastbourne. I can narrow it today. Other users laugh nervously. One types, "Bro, chill." Another warns, "Too much info." But curiosity eats fear. The thread explodes with speculation, theories bouncing like a ball across usernames. Soon a map circulates, not exact, but close enough to feel dangerous. The moderator's intervention. A moderator steps in. Maud Barnacle posts in bold. Rule reminder: do not attempt to locate households. Breaking this rule's permanent ban. Respect the product. The chat simmers, some grumble, others cheer the warning. But the thrill of danger lingers. Gaston doesn't reply. For an hour, he disappears. Then he returns with something new. Gaston, going to meet her tomorrow night. The room explodes. Some laugh. Some call him a troll. Others beg for proof. The marketplace parallel to the chat is the exchange. It isn't visible to all. Only architect tier and higher. Here, viewers trade clips like contraband. A 10-second video of Claire yawning sells for £20. A loop of Ethan giggling at cartoons, £50. Clips of the bedroom fetch hundreds, depending on clarity. Transactions flow through cryptocurrency, masked wallets, and burner accounts. For some subscribers, the house isn't just content, it's merchandise. And when merchandise becomes valuable, people want ownership. Behind the main forum, whispers thrive. Private DMs where subscribers egg one another on. Some dare each other to approach houses, to leave gifts at doors, to slip notes under mats. In one chat, Gaston sends a photo, a Tesco bag swinging from his wrist. The background is blurred, but the cereal box inside is identical to the Holloway's. Void loop. Nah, this ain't real malachite. Too far, dude. Tomorrow I knock. Screenshots leak into the main forum. Half the users beg for him to stop. Half cheer him on like an athlete preparing for a match. The boundary between screen and street begins to erode. Addiction. For many, Barnacle is more than entertainment. It's addiction. They refresh at work, on trains, in bed, beside partners. They watch strangers eat dinner instead of cooking their own. One user admits, "I don't even watch Netflix anymore. Why would I? This is real." Another confesses, "I left my girlfriend. Claire feels more honest than she ever was." The chat floods with confessions, half jokes, half truths. For some, voyeurism becomes more compelling than their own lives. The cliffhanger. Saturday night, the Holloways settle into bed. The lamp casts a warm pool of light. Claire reads, Mark dozes, Ethan snores in the next room. To them, it is ordinary. But to the watchers, it is appointment viewing. The chat scrolls with emojis, clipped phrases, reverence. Suddenly, a new message cuts through the noise. Not from Gaston, from a new handle never seen before. Ghost Milk. Stream will change tomorrow. Live event. Don't blink. The room freezes. Some ask if it's a mod. Some scream scam. But others recognize the name. Ghost Milk. A myth whispered in threads, rumored to run private feeds for billionaires. The chat boils with speculation. Is this the next tier? Is the Holloway's house about to become something darker? And somewhere, in the real night beyond the screen, Gaston zips a jacket, pocketing a Tesco bag and whispering to himself, "Tomorrow I'll meet her." The watchers cheer. None of them reach for the police. None of them think of rescue. Because for them it isn't a crime, it's content. On the Holloway's front step, a red light blinks, recording not from the operator, but from a subscriber. Chapter 4. The Investigative. Elliot Shaw had been a journalist long enough to see his profession rot from the inside out. Once, he'd carried a press badge that opened doors. Now, he carried freelance invoices that barely opened his fridge. Newspapers had shrunk to apps, and apps had shrunk to sidebars between ads for car insurance and meal kits. But some stories, he told himself, still mattered, and the ones nobody wanted to touch. Those mattered most. Rumors on the dark web. It started as a whisper on a cybercrime forum Elliot monitored, a throwaway line in a thread about streaming piracy. Forget IPTV, the real money's in Barnacle. At first he thought it was code. Barnacle sounded like a malware strain, or maybe a VPN. But curiosity tugged. He followed the trail, using handles he hadn't dusted off since his investigative heyday. The deeper he dug, the clearer it became. Barnacle wasn't a virus. It was a channel, and it wasn't streaming films. Elliot worked from a cluttered flat above a kebab shop. His office was half desk, half conspiracy wall. Post-its with arrows, screenshots pinned beside receipts. He lived on coffee and takeaway, his fridge stocked with nothing but milk and stubborn optimism. To enter Barnacle, you needed an invite. So he did what he always did. He pretended to be worse than he was. He crafted a persona, cynical and hungry, leaking just enough digital stench to attract a sponsor. It worked. 2 weeks later, a message arrived. Welcome aboard. Don't screw it up. First access. The login screen was bare, like a government form stripped of design, username, password, no branding, no slogan, just a cold prompt. When the dashboard opened, Elliot sat back in his chair, breath shallow. The screen bloomed with mosaics of lives, kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms. Families brushing teeth, couples fighting, children playing, uncut, unfiltered. He whispered, Jesus Christ. He almost closed the laptop, almost. But then his journalist instinct pinned him in place. If this is real, someone has to know. The Holloways. Among the dozens of feeds, one caught him. House number 047. A small flat, modest furniture, a couple in their 30s, a boy of 7. The scene was so ordinary it felt staged, but then the boy sneezed, startling the cat-shaped plush toy beside him, and Claire reached instinctively to touch his forehead. It was too unscripted to fake. Elliot clicked deeper. A side panel revealed statistics, viewer counts, retention graphs, events tagged with keywords. Bedtime reading, early riser routine, intimate moment. His stomach clenched. He was watching people's private lives without consent. Conflicted. Elliot told himself he'd only watch enough to understand, just long enough to confirm it wasn't actors. He hated himself for staying longer. But it was like rubbernecking a crash. Every instinct screamed to look away, every nerve refused. The chat window scrolled faster than he could read. Nicknames joked, analyzed, gossiped. One in particular drew his eye. Gaston. Postcode within 3 miles of Eastbourne, narrowing it now. Tomorrow I knock. Elliot's pulse spiked. Someone wasn't just watching. They were coming. The dilemma. He considered screenshots, forwarding them to the police. But what would he say? Excuse me, officers, I was snooping in a dark web channel and stumbled onto illegal surveillance of a random family. They'd arrest him before investigating. Editors wouldn't touch it either. Too murky, too risky. His last freelance pitch had been killed because the subject threatened legal action. Nobody wanted lawsuits in the age of dwindling subscriptions. That left him, alone, staring at the screen, responsibility curdling in his gut. Tracking the source, Elliot turned technical. He opened network monitors, tracing packet paths. Barnacle was good, layers of obfuscation, proxies across continents. But no system was flawless. Between nodes, he found a brief hiccup, a server in Hamburg bouncing to a data center in London. He copied IP fragments, saving them to his encrypted drive. A start. Not enough to shut it down, but enough to plant breadcrumbs. Then the chat pinged again. Ghost Milk. Stream will change tomorrow. Live event. Don't blink. The thread exploded. Elliot's palms dampened. He'd seen that handle before, years ago, in an investigation that never reached print. Ghost Milk was whispered like folklore. A phantom who didn't share feeds, but curated them privately for clients willing to pay fortunes. If Ghost Milk was here, Barnacle was bigger than one operator. The choice. Elliot closed his laptop, pressing his palms into the lid. His conscience roared. Should he call the police anyway? Risk being dismissed? Or should he warn the family directly? But how? He didn't know their exact address. Only fragments, curtains from IKEA, a Tesco bag, a general region. Too little for certainty. He paced his flat, kebab shop grease drifting through the floorboards. His phone buzzed, an unpaid bill reminder. He ignored it. Money felt obscene compared to the images burned into his mind. At midnight, he reopened the feed. The Holloways slept, oblivious. Thousands watched them breathe. Elliot whispered to the screen, I'll find you. First breakthrough. He replayed clips, searching backgrounds, a takeaway menu pinned to a fridge, a logo for Bella's Pizza Eastbourne. He Googled. 2 branches. He narrowed. Next, a glimpse of streetlight geometry through a curtain gap. He matched it to a map overlay of lamp installations, pattern recognition, obsessive work. By dawn, he had a neighborhood, 1 in 20 streets, 50 families, and one was being watched. The hook. He typed an email to himself. If I disappear, Barnacle is real. Start with Eastbourne. He encrypted it, scheduling it to send to an old colleague if unopened in 72 hours. Insurance. Then he leaned back, exhausted. On his second monitor, the Holloways' feed refreshed. Morning light spilled across their kitchen. Claire poured cereal. Ethan laughed at something unseen. Mark adjusted his tie, and then the chat erupted. Gaston, I'm outside. The feed didn't change. The family carried on, oblivious. But Elliot's skin went cold. He whispered, God, don't open the door. For the first time, Elliot wasn't just watching. He was racing against strangers, and the clock was already ticking. A knock echoes faintly through the Holloway's flat. Caught by the hallway mic, the operator had sworn wasn't active yet. Chapter 5. The family realizes. The knock was small, almost polite. Not the hammer of a neighbor demanding quiet, nor the courier's rap, rap, rap. A single, deliberate sound. "I know you're home." Claire froze mid-pour, milk sloshing against the lip of the carton. Ethan looked up from his cereal, spoon halfway to his mouth. Mark's tie dangled, forgotten between his fingers. Another knock, soft, insistent. "Expecting someone?" Mark asked, voice too casual. "No." Claire's whisper felt scraped raw. They waited. The hallway swallowed the sound. When Mark finally opened the door, the landing was empty. The aftertaste of fear. They laughed it off at first. A prank, they said. Kids in the block, bored after school. But Claire noticed Mark double-checking the locks that night. She saw him glance at the peephole twice before bed. Ethan, though, couldn't shake it. What if it was the humming man, he asked. "What humming man?" Claire forced a smile. "The one in the walls." She stroked his hair, telling him not to be silly, but the words clung like cobwebs. Oddities. Multiply. The days that followed stacked with strangeness. The jar of pickles reappeared after Claire binned it. Same brand, same jar, balanced neatly at the back of the fridge. Ethan's Lego tower, left unfinished, appeared rebuilt. Taller, stronger, bricks rearranged into symmetry no 7-year-old possessed. A toothbrush hummed faintly, vibrating with drained batteries. Claire swore it hadn't been used in weeks. Mark dismissed each thing. Coincidence? Forgetfulness. He worked late, exhausted, unwilling to add paranoia to the pile. But Claire couldn't ignore it. Not when she swore she saw a faint red blink from the vent above the hallway mirror. The camera. It happened late Tuesday. Mark had collapsed on the sofa, Ethan asleep. Claire wandered the hallway, restless, drawn to the fern print above the coat hooks. She tilted her head. There, the faintest circle, blacker than black. A tiny pupil behind the plastic greenery. Her breath caught. She reached up, tugging the frame from its nail. It came away too easily. Behind it, nestled in foam, was a lens no bigger than a pea. She screamed. Mark jerked awake, bolting upright. What is it?" Claire dropped the frame onto the floor. The hollow thud echoed. "There's a camera in the wall. A camera, Mark." He blinked, disbelieving. Then he saw it, his face drained. Panic. They tore through the flat. Lamps lifted, vents unscrewed, cushions gutted, and everywhere they looked they found more. Tiny eyes glinting back. The bedroom lamp, the bathroom fan, the kitchen vent, even the hallway skirting board. Ethan stumbled from his room, rubbing his eyes. "Mum? Dad?" Claire hugged him fiercely, shielding his view. "It's okay, love, go back to bed." But it wasn't okay, not anymore. The argument. Mark paced, fists clenching. "We call the police. Right now." Claire nodded, trembling. But when Mark lifted his phone, doubt stabbed. "What do we even say? That we found cameras? They'll think we're mad. Or," she swallowed, "or they'll say it's a prank. Landlord, electrician, neighbor kid, anything but what it really is." Mark's voice cracked. "What is it then?" Claire didn't answer. She couldn't. The audience watches. In the chat room, viewers erupted. "Malachite, holy shit, she found it. Peep silhouette, no, don't stop the feed. Void loop, best episode ever. Gas told you. I told you they'd notice." The operator didn't intervene. The stream continued, mosaic intact. Thousands watched as the Holloways dismantled their home, blind to the invisible crowd. The investigator moves miles away. Elliot Shaw leaned closer to his laptop, adrenaline spiking. "They've found the cameras." He typed frantically, saving timestamps, capturing screenshots. Proof. Irrefutable now. But proof wasn't enough. They were in danger. He scoured his notes. Eastbourne, lampposts, takeaway menus. He had the neighborhood narrowed, but not the house, not yet. "Come on," he muttered, replaying footage, desperate for another clue. The family retreats. That night, the Holloways refused to sleep in their beds. They dragged blankets into the living room, crowding together on the sofa. Claire clutched Ethan. Mark sat upright, staring at the door like a soldier on watch. Every creak of the building felt like footsteps, every flicker of light an intruder's shadow. Ethan whispered, "Mum, are we on TV?" Claire tightened her arms. "No, darling, of course not." But inside, the answer screamed, yes, worse than TV. The ultimatum. At dawn, Mark made a decision. "We're leaving. Hotel. Tonight, we'll call the police from there. Safer. Cleaner." Claire nodded, too tired to argue. She wanted escape, she wanted walls without eyes, but as they packed bags, a sound broke them, a voice. Tinny, electronic. From the hallway vent, a whisper crackled. "We're still watching." Claire screamed. Ethan cried. Mark ripped the vent cover down, wires trailing like veins. He hurled it against the wall. The plastic shattered. For a heartbeat, silence, then laughter, not in the flat, but in the hidden chat. Thousands of strangers typing emojis, reactions, applause. The cliffhanger. Cold, foreboding. Claire collapsed to her knees, clutching Ethan. Mark stared at the broken vent, horror etched across his face. The cameras weren't just watching. They were listening, talking, playing God. And across the world, the subscribers leaned in, delighted. The living room lamp flickered. Not a bulb failing, but a deliberate signal. 3 blinks, a code. Chapter 6. Exposure. Morning light stretched across the Holloway's living room like a reluctant guest. The sofa was crumpled with blankets, the air heavy with stale fear. Claire had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw lenses staring back, pinholes in vents, pupils behind lamps. Mark sat at the table, phone in his hands, thumb hovering above the dial pad. He hadn't called the police. Not yet. Every number felt like the wrong one. Emergency? Too vague. Non-emergency? Too slow. And how would he explain? Ethan slept across Claire's lap, thumb in his mouth, the rise and fall of his chest a fragile anchor. She stroked his hair, whispering, "It's okay, we're safe, we're safe." But the words cracked as they left her throat. Elliot makes contact. Miles away, Elliot Shaw scrolled furiously through archived clips. He had the Holloway's neighborhood pinned. Now he needed a way to reach them. But how? He couldn't exactly knock on every door in Eastbourne and ask, "Hi, are you secretly being live-streamed to thousands of voyeurs?" Then he remembered. The fridge. In one clip, a takeaway menu was pinned with a magnet. "Bella's Pizza," Elliot called. "Eastbourne Bella's," said a weary voice. "Hi, this is Elliot. I'm looking for a family. They ordered last week, I think. Woman with brown hair, maybe early 30s. Little boy with blonde curls." "Sorry, mate. Can't give out customer info." Elliot's stomach knotted. He tried a gamble. "Look, it's important. Their safety might be at risk. Please." A pause. Then, "One family fits. Holloway. But that's all I can say." It was enough. A name. A target. The email Elliot crafted a message. He kept it short, urgent, but not so wild they'd dismiss him as a crank. Subject. Urgent. Your home is being watched. Body. My name is Elliot Shaw. I'm a journalist. Please believe me. Hidden cameras have been installed in your flat. They are streaming to a private channel online. I've seen it myself. You are in danger. Do not trust your devices. If you want proof, reply with any word. I'll send you a clip recorded inside your own home. He hesitated. Hitting send felt like crossing a moral Rubicon, but then he pressed the key. The Holloways read. Claire's phone buzzed. She picked it up, groggy, expecting another PTA reminder. Instead, the subject line froze her blood. Your home is being watched. Her hands shook. She showed Mark. He scanned the text, jaw tightening. "It's a scam," he said. "Mark, it's not. Look at last night. Look at the cameras. Or it's some sick bastard who planted them. Now he's trying to scare us more." "Then why send an email?" They argued in hushed tones, Ethan stirring against Claire's lap. Finally, she typed one word, proof. The clip minutes later, a new email arrived. Attached was a 30-second video. The Holloways watched in silence. It showed Claire in the kitchen 2 nights ago, pouring tea, humming faintly. The angle was from above, behind the vent. Perfect clarity. Claire dropped the phone as if it had burned her. Mark swore, running a hand through his hair. "Jesus Christ, he's right. Someone's streaming us." Claire's voice cracked. "To who?" Mark didn't answer. He didn't want to. Elliot's call. Elliot's phone rang, an unknown number. He answered instantly. "Who are you?" Mark's voice, sharp, defensive. "My name is Elliot Shaw. I'm a journalist. I know this sounds insane, but I've been inside the channel. I've seen you. Your family. Thousands of people are watching." "How many?" Claire whispered, audible through the line. Elliot hesitated. "At least 20,000 active, maybe more." A silence so thick he thought the call had dropped. Then Claire said, trembling, "What do we do?" The plan. Elliot explained fast. "Remove every visible camera, but don't smash them all. That would alert the operator too soon. They needed evidence, timestamps, proof the police couldn't ignore." "I'll come to you," he said. Stay inside. Don't answer the door. Don't touch your Wi-Fi. It's compromised. I'll be there within hours. Mark bristled. How do we know you're not part of this? You don't, Elliot admitted. But you emailed me back. That means you already know it's real. Another silence. Then Claire, come, please, just hurry. The operator watches in his studio. The operator leaned back, amused. House number 47 had never been livelier. The family had found the cameras, the journalist had entered the stage, and subscriptions were spiking. The chat adored it. Loop, season finale vibes, tape hiss, best house ever. Told you I was close. The operator muted none of it. Why would he? This was premium content Chaos always sold, and the best part, the Holloways believed they could hide. They couldn't. Not from him. Not from the audience. Ethan's question. At home, Claire tucked Ethan into a blanket fort in the living room, trying to make the ordeal seem like a game. We're camping inside tonight, she said, forcing a smile. Ethan looked up at her, wide-eyed. Mum, are the cameras still watching? She hesitated, then lied. No, love, not anymore. But even as she said it, the lamp flickered 3 times. A code. A taunt. Ethan shivered, burrowing deeper into the blanket. The chat reacts. The subscribers went wild. Omj, the kid knows Blue Ruin. Peep, tell him. This is heartbreaking. Tomorrow I step inside. The operator didn't ban him. Not this time. Instead, he leaned forward, fingers steepled. A new event marker glowed red on his dashboard. Intrusion pending. The cliffhanger. At 9:17 p.m., Claire's phone buzzed again. A new message, not from Elliot. From Ghost Milk. Subject, you are the show. She opened it before she could stop herself. The body contained a single line, smile. 20,000 people are watching you read this right now. Claire dropped the phone, heart hammering. Mark grabbed it. Scanning, face pale. Ethan whispered, Mum? But Claire couldn't answer. Because for the first time she realized it wasn't just cameras, it was control. They weren't just being watched. They were being directed. From the hallway vent, the voice crackled again. Not the operator this time, but a subscriber. Open the door, Claire. I'm here. Chapter 7. Escalation. Deliberate. The Holloways didn't leave for the hotel. Fear glued them to the flat, as though stepping outside would be stepping into the jaws of whatever audience waited there. The sofa remained their fortress. Claire clutched Ethan all night. Mark sat like a guard, eyes fixed on the door, phone in his lap, waiting for Elliot Shaw's promised arrival. But Elliot didn't come that night, and fear, left to ferment, turned to paranoia. The operator's delight. In his studio, the operator watched the feed spike. House number 47 had tripled in viewership in 24 hours. Chat activity ran like wildfire, filling the side panel with emojis, taunts, prayers, someone help them. Void loop. Nah, this is cinema. Peep silhouette. I feel guilty, but I can't look away, Gaston. Tomorrow night, it's happening. The operator made no attempt to stop it. The channel thrived on escalation. Families discovering cameras was rare, but when it happened, ratings soared. He knew better than to intervene, better to curate the chaos, let the viewers ride the adrenaline. He clicked highlight event on the Holloways stream, tagging it, Family Discovers. Season arc. Claire breaks. By Wednesday morning, Claire snapped. She stormed into the bedroom, tearing the lamp apart, ripping wires out with bare hands. Mark tried to calm her. Claire, stop. We need evidence. But she screamed back, I don't care about evidence. I want them gone. Her rage was catharsis, a howl against the unseen eyes. She smashed the fern frame, hurled the bathroom vent into the tub. Plastic shattered, screws rattled across tile. Ethan cried, covering his ears. Mark gathered him, whispering comfort. But Claire stood amid wreckage, chest heaving, sweat slicking her hair. They're in everything, every corner. We're insects in a jar. And for the first time, Mark didn't contradict her. Elliot's race. Meanwhile, Elliot drove. He'd pinpointed the Holloways street from a clip of the view beyond their curtains, a triangular road sign, unique to a stretch near Eastbourne's seafront. He hadn't slept, running on caffeine and fury. Every mile closer twisted his gut tighter. He rehearsed what he'd say, I'm not part of this. I'm here to help. He pictured their fear, their disbelief, and worse, he pictured being too late. His phone buzzed with messages from burner accounts, threats, taunts. Subscribers knew someone was sniffing around. Some welcomed him, calling him the next episode. Elliot gripped the wheel harder. The first harassment narrator tense, intimate. That afternoon, the Holloway's doorbell rang. Not once, repeatedly. Ding-dong, ding-dong, ding. Mark froze. Claire pressed Ethan against her side, whispering, "Don't move." Through the peephole, a blur, a Tesco bag swinging. Then a voice, muffled, cheerful. "Got your shopping, Claire." She clapped a hand over her mouth. Mark's fists balled. The voice continued. "You forgot oat milk. Thought I'd bring some. You should thank me." Mark yanked the phone, dialing police at last. But when he opened his mouth, words caught. How to explain? A stranger with shopping wasn't an emergency. Except it was. By the time he found breath, the knocking stopped. Silence. When Mark finally opened the door, the landing was empty. A Tesco bag sat neatly on the mat. Inside, oat milk, a box of cereal, and a folded note. Smile wider? They love when you smile. The chat explodes. "Oh God, someone's really there, peep. I can't breathe, Void Loop. Legendary content, Gaston. Told you I'd meet her." Claire ripped the note to shreds, sobbing. Mark hurled the bag down the stairwell. Ethan clung to his mother, shaking. The cameras captured all of it. Every tear, every tremor, and the world watched. Elliot arrives at dusk, headlights crawled down the street. Elliot parked 2 houses away, checking the address scribbled in his notebook. Curtains drawn, faint lamplight inside. The Holloway's flat. He grabbed his satchel. Laptop, portable jammer, spare batteries, pepper spray, tools of a man who no longer believed in safety. He approached carefully. The street was too quiet. He swore he felt eyes on him. At the Holloway's door, he knocked gently. "Claire? Mark? My name is Elliot Shaw. I'm here to help. Please, open up." Inside, Claire tensed. "It's him," she whispered. "The journalist." Mark hovered, uncertain. Could be a trick. Ethan whimpered, "Mum, don't." But desperation won. Claire unlatched the door. Face to face, Elliot stepped inside, hands raised. "I know how this looks, but you're not crazy. I've seen the feeds. Thousands of people are watching you right now." Claire sagged, relief and terror mixing. Mark glared. "Prove it." Elliot opened his laptop. Within seconds, the mosaic appeared. Their kitchen, their living room, their own faces live. Claire covered her mouth. Mark swore. Ethan whispered, "That's us." Elliot nodded grimly. "You're the main attraction. They've been watching for weeks, maybe months." The operator's intervention. The operator leaned forward, amused. The journalist had entered the set. The story arc tightened beautifully. He highlighted the moment. Investigator joins. Narrative expansion. Subscribers went feral. Void Loop new character unlocked. Lol. Tape. OMG, it's like a thriller. Doesn't matter. Still coming tonight. The operator smiled. Sometimes the show wrote itself. The Alliance. In the Holloway's flat, Elliot explained fast. The cameras piggybacked their Wi-Fi. A mesh of hidden nodes streamed every moment. Police wouldn't act without undeniable proof, but if they gathered hardware, timestamps, and subscriber logs, they might force action. "We can fight this," Elliot said, "but you need to trust me." Mark bristled. "Trust? You're sitting here watching us on your laptop." "I'm not watching," Elliot snapped. "I'm exposing. There's a difference." Claire intervened, voice trembling. "Please, stop fighting. Just tell us how to make it end." The intruder. At 11:42 p.m., a new sound cut the air. A scrape at the lock. Mark stiffened. Elliot grabbed the pepper spray. Claire clutched Ethan. Through the peephole, a shadow loomed. A hand jiggled the latch. Then a voice, low, giddy. "Claire, I'm here. Open up." It wasn't Elliot's voice. It wasn't the operator's. It was Gaston. The door shook under his weight. "I brought you more milk. Don't be rude. They're all watching." The chat exploded in capital letters, a wall of hysteria. "Malachite, call the police, Void Loop. Holy shit, he's really there. Gaston, live event. This is it." Elliot whispered, "Don't move." Mark raised his phone. Claire held Ethan's head against her chest. The handle rattled. Gaston laughed. And thousands of strangers leaned in, breathless, desperate not to blink. The lock clicked. Chapter 8. The Hunt. The lock clicked. The sound was small, but in the Holloway's living room it detonated like a bomb. Mark lunged, bracing his shoulder against the door. Elliot snapped open his satchel, jamming the portable signal disruptor against the floorboards. A faint hum filled the flat as the device crackled to life, scattering Wi-Fi like sand in gears. Claire clutched Ethan, whispering, "Don't look, love, don't look." The door rattled again. A laugh slithered through the crack. "I told you I'd come, Claire. Everyone's watching. Gaston repelled. Elliot pressed a finger to his lips, signaling silence. Then he mouthed to Mark, "Hold it." Mark nodded, muscles taut. The door shook harder, then stopped. Heavy breathing on the other side. A pause. Finally, footsteps retreated down the hall. The flat exhaled. Claire sagged, sobbing silently. Ethan buried his face into her shoulder. Mark whispered, "He'll be back." Elliot shut down the jammer, pulling them into a huddle. "Listen to me. That wasn't random. He's a subscriber. They're crossing over." Claire's eyes flared. "You mean there are more like him?" "Yes. Maybe dozens, maybe hundreds who'd do the same if they knew your address." The chat reacts. On Barnacle, the operator's mosaic flickered. Viewers howled. "Malachite, holy God, he was at the door." I'm shaking. Why isn't anyone stopping this void loop? "Best content I've seen in my life, Gaston. Don't worry, next time I'll get in." The operator let the scene breathe. He tagged it. Intrusion Attempt 1. Cliffhanger Asset. Subscribers clipped and replayed the sound of the rattling lock like a theme song. The Holloway's fear was currency, and Barnacle's vaults overflowed. A plan forms, steady investigative. Elliot leaned in close, voice low. "We can't just wait for them to come back. We have to hit back, make it costly for the operator to keep streaming you." Mark shook his head. "We're not vigilantes, we call the police." Elliot's expression hardened. "You think the police understand how to handle this? They'll laugh, tell you to cover vents, change locks. Meanwhile, 20,000 people keep watching." Claire swallowed. "Then what do we do?" Elliot opened his laptop again, despite Mark's glare. He navigated to Barnacle's back end, tracing log files he'd scraped earlier. "If we can feed the operator false data, staged footage, rehearsed actions, we can flip the script. Starve them of authenticity." Mark frowned. "You mean act for them?" "Yes. Give them a performance. Make them believe you're oblivious again while we hunt the system from inside." Claire's lips tightened. "Use us as bait." Elliot nodded. "Exactly." The family prepares. They worked quickly. Elliot coached them on how to act normal, cook, clean, laugh, while keeping one corner of the flat camera free for strategy. He positioned his jammer to block only selected nodes, leaving enough cameras live to trick the operator. Claire practiced smiles in the mirror, though her hands shook. Mark rehearsed casual movements, reading the paper, scrolling his phone. Ethan was told it was a game. Pretend the cameras weren't there. Keep secrets. For the first time since discovery, their fear bent into determination. Claire whispered to Elliot, "If they want a show, let's give them one." In his studio, the operator noticed subtle shifts. The Holloways laughed too evenly. Mark kissed Claire's cheek like it was rehearsed. Even Ethan's play seemed staged. The chat speculated. Void loop. Are they trolling us? Malachite. Feels fake suddenly Tapis. Nah, paranoia makes people act weird, Gaston. I'll find out. Trust me. The operator narrowed his eyes. Perhaps the family wasn't broken yet. Perhaps they were trying to fight back. He smiled. Resistance always made better content. Elliot's breakthrough. Investigative, urgent. While the family performed, Elliot worked in the dead zone. His laptop parsed log traffic, mapping the operator's proxies. He found patterns. Nightly handoffs at 2 a.m., a heartbeat ping from a server in Hamburg. He marked it, triangulating with ISP leaks. For the first time, Barnacle's mask slipped. Not fully, but enough. "We're close," he whispered to Claire. "If we can trigger them to overextend, force them to move more data, faster, we can unmask their core node." Claire nodded. "How do we do that?" "By giving them something they can't resist streaming, the bait." That night, Claire staged an argument with Mark, shouting, slamming cupboards, storming out of the kitchen. Mark followed, red-faced, waving his arms. Ethan sat at the table, feigning tears. The cameras captured it all. The chat went wild. "OMG, divorce arc? Malachite, can't believe I'm watching this live, Void Loop. This is peak content. Never canceling my sub." Behind the scenes, Elliot smiled grimly. The fake fight spiked viewership. Bandwidth surged. The operator's servers strained, logs bled. And in that bleed, Elliot saw it, a slip to a London data center, a crack in the mask. He copied the coordinates, adrenaline roaring. They had a target. Gaston returns. But even as Elliot celebrated, the real threat reappeared. At 3 a.m., footsteps echoed in the stairwell. A silhouette hovered outside the Holloway's door. This time he didn't knock. He pressed something against the lock. A key. Mark, awake, lunged again, bracing the door. Claire muffled Ethan's whimpering. Elliot readied the spray. The lock turned halfway before jamming. Gaston cursed. Then laughing, he whispered, "Don't worry, I'll be back with the right one." His footsteps retreated again. The family collapsed in exhaustion. But Elliot knew. Next time, Gaston wouldn't fail. The cliffhanger-nator ominous cinematic. Elliot looked at the Holloways, then at the cracked server logs on his laptop. They had two enemies now. The operator pulling strings online and the subscriber at their door. "Tomorrow," Elliot said, voice grim, "we take the fight to them." But in his inbox, a new email blinked. From Ghost Milk at subject, "Don't interfere. Body, we control the story now. Try to end it, and you become the next house." Elliot stared at the screen as the lamp above the sofa flickered 3 times, the operator's code, and the feed shifted to a new mosaic pane. Elliot himself caught on camera. Chapter 9. Confrontation. The moment Elliot saw his own face appear in the barnacle mosaic, a sick weight dropped into his stomach. The operator had flipped the script. The hunter was now part of the hunted. On his laptop, the feed split. Pane 1, Claire clutching Ethan. Pane 2, Mark pacing the kitchen. Pane 3, Elliot himself, hunched over his screen, eyes wide, bathed in LED glow. 1,000 strangers watched the watchers. The chat erupted. "Malachite, new POV. They're all the show now. This is genius." "Don't worry, I'll join them soon." The operator speaks for weeks. The operator had remained silent, letting the spectacle breathe, but now a text banner unfurled across the bottom of the Holloway's feed. "You are the show. Play well." Claire gasped. "They're talking to us." Mark slammed a fist into the wall. "This isn't a show. This is our life." Ethan whimpered, burying his face in Claire's shoulder. Elliot's jaw clenched. "He's taunting us. He wants you to break." Claire shook her head. "No, we can't break. Not now." Elliot's countermove. Elliot launched into action. His fingers flew over the keyboard, rerouting his jammer, building a tunnel to flood Barnacle's stream with corrupted packets. For a moment, the mosaic glitched, colors inverted, Claire's face flickering into pixelated fragments. The chat howled. "Void loop. WTF feeds broken malachite. Operator, fix it." "No, don't lose them." The operator reacted instantly. The feed snapped back, cleaner than before, almost mocking. Elliot swore under his breath. "He's good. Too good." Ghost Milk intervenes. At 2:11 a.m., a new window appeared on the mosaic, black at first, then blooming into clarity. A rooftop view, city lights smearing like oil, and standing in silhouette, a figure. Hood up, face hidden. The username glowed beneath. Ghost Milk. The chat went feral. "It's real. Holy shit, Ghost Milk's on cam?" "He's running the finale." Ghost Milk raised a hand, slow, deliberate, like a priest blessing a congregation. Then text scrolled across the Holloway's pane. "1 night left. Then it ends." The family fractures. Raw, emotional. Mark snapped. "We can't keep playing their game. We leave. Tonight." "And go where?" Claire shot back. "Hotels? They'll find us? Family? Friends? You want to drag them into this?" Mark's face twisted. "We're sitting ducks here," Elliot cut in. "Stop. He wants you to run. Panic sells better than anything. If you bolt, you'll give him his finale." Claire whispered, "So what do we do?" Elliot looked at his laptop, at the crack he'd pried open into Barnacle's servers. "We hit him back. Hard. On his own stage." The Bait 2.0. They staged again, but not a fight this time. Instead, Claire moved deliberately into the living room, holding Ethan's hand. Mark followed, arms crossed. Elliot set his laptop in plain view. Together, they faced the nearest lens. Claire spoke, voice trembling but clear. "We know you're watching. All of you. Every single one. You think this is entertainment, but it's our lives. You're complicit. Every second you stay, you're part of this crime." The chat erupted with laughter, denial, anger. "Void loop. Lol scripted malachite. She's right, though. I feel sick watching this." The operator overlaid new text. "Speeches are boring. Show us blood." Claire flinched. Elliot whispered, "He's bluffing. Keep going." Gaston returns. The bluff didn't last. At 3:07 a.m., footsteps thundered in the stairwell again. A key scraped. The lock turned smoother this time. Mark braced. Elliot grabbed the spray. Claire shoved Ethan under the sofa, whispering, "Stay, don't move." The door creaked open. A man stepped inside, hoodie, mask, Tesco bag dangling. Gaston, he spread his arms, triumphant. Told you I made it. The chat exploded. Void loop. He's in Alakite. Call the police now. Why isn't anyone stopping this? The fight mark charged, slamming Gaston against the wall. The Tesco bag fell, spilling oat milk across the floor. Gaston laughed, thrashing like a child at play. Elliot sprayed, mist burning Gaston's eyes. He screamed, clawing at his face. Mark pinned him harder, fists flying. Claire yanked Ethan out from under the sofa, shielding his view. Don't look, love. Don't look. The chat went rabid, half cheering, half horrified. Void loop. Holy shit, real fight, Malachite. Stop, 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 Gaston. Elliot cuffed Gaston's wrists with zip ties from his satchel. The man writhed, giggling through tears. They'll love this. You gave them exactly what they wanted. The operator's wrath. The operator marked the scene. Intruder neutralized, audience spike. But beneath the metrics, anger brewed. Gaston was sloppy, a liability. His capture risked police attention, headlines, exposure. The operator typed a single command. The Holloway's feed went black. The chat screamed in panic. Void loop. Where did they go? Peep silhouette. Operator? Bring it back, Malachite. This isn't right. Then a new pane opened. The Holloway's flat, but distorted, delayed, replaying their fight on loop. Replay mode enabled. The operator's voice, synthetic, flat, hissed through the Holloway's own vents. You think you can end the show? You can't. You're mine until the finale. The cliffhanger, ominous. Elliot stared at his laptop. The live feed was gone, replaced with the replay. He's cutting us off. He doesn't want the world to see what comes next. Mark swallowed hard. What comes next? Elliot didn't answer. On his screen, a countdown appeared. 24 Hollow Duzioned. Ghost Milk's rooftop feed flickered beside it, the hooded figure raising his hand again. The operator's text scrolled across the black pane. Season finale. One night left. Chapter 10. The final broadcast. The countdown glowed on Elliot's laptop. 24th land. Each second ticked with the inevitability of a heartbeat. Claire, Mark, and Ethan huddled in the living room. Gaston lay tied on the floor, still giggling through swollen eyes. Claire whispered, "What happens when it hits zero?" Elliot didn't answer. He didn't know. But every instinct told him the finale wouldn't end quietly. The family splinters, Mark raged. We call the police now. We drag them here, show them everything. Cameras, this lunatic on the floor, your laptop. Elliot snapped back. And while they file reports, 20,000 voyeurs keep watching. The operator won't stop because a constable knocks on his door. Claire's voice cracked. Then what? What's left? We wait for him to kill us? Elliot slammed his fist on the table. No, we take control of the feed. We hijack his finale. Mark glared. You think you can out-hack him? No, Elliot said, but we can out-story him. The performance, urgent, deliberate. The plan was reckless. Stage a finale of their own, one that gave the operator spectacle, while Elliot used the chaos to break into Barnacle's core. They set the flat like a theater. Lights on, doors bolted. Elliot rigged his jammer to pulse, disrupting only half the cameras, enough to create glitches, artifacts, while still feeding the crowd. Claire rehearsed lines in front of the vent, her voice shaking. You want blood? You want spectacle? Watch closely. Mark loaded a kitchen knife into his belt, not for the show, but for reality. Ethan was hidden in the wardrobe, headphones on, eyes squeezed shut. Claire promised him it was just a game. She hoped he never knew the truth. The broadcast. At midnight, the Holloways went live again. The operator restored the feed, eager. The chat surged like a tidal wave. They're back. OMG, here we go. Peep finale, finale, finale. Claire stood center of the living room, staring into the lamp's concealed lens. You've taken everything from us, privacy, safety, even sleep. But tonight, we take it back. The chat exploded. Some mocked, some cheered, some begged her to stop. Mark stalked into frame, knife visible. You wanted blood? Fine, watch. He slashed his palm, crimson dripping onto the floorboards. Claire screamed on cue, but her eyes flicked to Elliot. Is it enough? Elliot's fingers flew. The surge of traffic was enormous, subscriber numbers peaking, servers straining. This was the moment. The operator pushes back. In his studio, the operator smiled. This was better than he'd hoped. The family wasn't breaking, they were performing. Perfect. He fed the stream to every tier, lifted paywalls, invited lurkers. The numbers spiked into the tens of thousands. But in the spike, his system hiccuped, and Elliot was waiting. Elliot's worm slipped through the log handoff, latching onto Barnacle's heart. A map unfolded, data centers, proxy shells, one core node in London. The operator's sanctuary. Elliot grinned. Got you. The operator noticed too late. His screens flickered. His own reflection stared back at him, caught by a camera he hadn't meant to leave on. For the first time, the chat saw him. The operator revealed, Wait, who is that? Malachite. Holy shit, we see him. Peep's real. He's real. A man in his 40s, plain, ordinary, eyes dead with boredom. He yanked at the cable too late. His anonymity shattered, his empire bleeding. Claire gasped, seeing him for the first time. That's him. That's the bastard, Mark snarled. We end this now. Ghost Milk's gambit. But then another feed hijacked the mosaic, the rooftop, Ghost Milk. The hooded figure spoke for the first time, voice distorted. He is not the only operator. End him, and the show goes on. End me, and the show evolves. Either way, you are content. The chat erupted in religious fervor. Malachite, Ghost Milk's the real boss? Void loop, plot twist of the century. I can't tell if this is scripted or not. Elliot shouted at the screen, Shut it down, both of you. But neither the operator nor Ghost Milk listened. They were gods fighting for an altar, and the Holloways were the sacrifice. The flat became chaos. Gaston, forgotten on the floor, gnawed through his zip tie, lunging with manic laughter. Mark tackled him again, knife clattering across tile. Claire screamed. Ethan sobbed from the wardrobe, headphones askew. Elliot slammed his keys, forcing his worm deeper. Almost there. Almost. On Barnacle, streams flickered. Holloway's operator, Ghost Milk, looping chaos. Subscribers screamed in chat, torn between horror and awe, and then the feed hit critical mass. The collapse. Elliot's worm detonated. The core node buckled, data spilling like blood from a wound. Feeds crashed, flickered, collapsed. The mosaic disintegrated. For a moment, silence, no chat, no watchers. Just the Holloway's flat, quiet for the first time in weeks. Claire wept, clutching Ethan. Mark panted, knuckles bloodied from fighting Gaston. Elliot sagged, sweat dripping. It's over, he whispered. We killed the stream. Or is it? But even as relief washed the room, Claire's phone buzzed, a notification, a live stream link. She opened it before she could stop herself. On screen, their living room. Them. Live. A new banner scrolled across the bottom. Season 2. New platform. Same content. Ghost Milk's hooded silhouette filled the corner of the feed. He raised a finger to his lips. Shh. They can't kill the appetite, only feed it. Claire dropped the phone, screaming. Elliot stared, hollow. It never ends. The cliffhanger. Outside, sirens wailed, police at last. But inside, the family knew the truth. No warrant, no arrest, no raid could erase what had been seen. They weren't just victims. They were stars now, and the audience would never let them go. Final line. Every home has blind spots. Yours will be next. The end. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends about my listening library.